Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I wish to the respected panel members, Professor Dr. Rahizam and Dr. Norani Mansor, my supervisors, Dr. Nur Nadia, lecturers and fellow students. My name is Muhammad FARIS AIMAN bin Abu Bakar, and today I am presenting my research proposal entitled Assessment of Sweat Rate and Hydration Status During Exercise among MSN Pahang Rugby Players. The purpose of this study is to investigate the sweat loss and hydration status among rugby players during exercise and to determine whether there is a relationship between these two variables. Based on Mountain 2008, he mentioned that hydration status is a fundamental component of human physiology and athletic performance. Hydration status is an important component of athletic performance and overall physiological function in human. Previous studies have shown that sweat rate may be varies among athletes and is influenced by factors such as body size, body mass, exercise intensity, environmental conditions, and playing position. Sweat rate represents the amount of fluid through sweating, while hydration status reflects the body's water and electrolyte balance. For athletes participating in high intensity sports such as rugby, maintaining hydration is essential because dehydration can impair thermoregulation, cardiovascular function, physical performance, and recovery. Therefore, understanding sweat rate and hydration status among rugby players is important to optimize performance and prevent heat-related illness. Despite the growing of development of sports science in Malaysia, there are still limited research focusing on sweat rate and hydration practices among Malaysian rugby players. Most of the existing hydration studies only focus on football players, endurance athletes, or recreational population. As a result, hydration recommendations are often generalized and may not accurately reflect the needs of rugby athletes training in Malaysia hot and humid climate. Without sport-specific data, coaches, sports scientists, and athletes may face difficulties in developing individualized hydration strategies. Therefore, this study aims to address this gap by providing scientific evidence regarding sweat rate and hydration status among MSN Pahang rugby players. The main purpose of this study is to assess sweat rate and the hydration status during exercise among MSN Pahang rugby players. The research objective in this study is first to determine the sweat rate of MSN Pahang rugby players during training sessions. Second one is to determine the hydration status intake of MSN Pahang rugby players during training session. And the third one is to assess the relationship between sweat rate and hydration status among MSN Pahang rugby players during training. Accordingly, the research question focused on identifying sweat rate, hydration status, and whether a relationship exists between these variables. For this study, the null hypothesis states that there is no significant relationship between sweat rate and hydration status among MSN Pahang rugby players. Meanwhile, the alternative hypothesis mentioned that there is a significant relationship between sweat rate and hydration status among MSN Pahang rugby players during exercise. The conceptual framework illustrates the relationship between sweat rate and hydration status. Environmental conditions such as temperature and humidity, together with exercise intensity, can influence the sweat rate production. As sweat loss increases, hydration status may change due to the loss of body water and electrolytes. Hydration status will be assessed through urine specific gravity USG and body mass loss percentage. The framework suggests that sweat rate directly influences hydration status among rugby players. This is significant. This study is significant in several ways. First one is academically, it will contribute to the limited literature regarding hydration and sweat rate physiology among Malaysian rugby players. Practically, the findings can help coaches, sports scientists, and also athletes in developing individualized hydration strategies. And the results also may assist MSN or KBS in establishing evidence-based hydration guidelines to improve athlete safety and performance. Previous studies have reported that athletes can lose approximately 2 to 3% of body mass through sweating during exercise. Sweat losses varies considerably depending on environmental conditions, exercise intensity, heat acclimatization, and individual characteristics. Research also indicates that inadequate hydration negatively affects endurance, cognitive performance, thermoregulation, and recovery process. Understanding these physiological responses is essential for preventing dehydration among athletes and optimizing athlete performance. Rugby is a physically demanding sport that requires repeated high intensity exercise, including sprinting, tackling, and scrummaging. Recent reports in Malaysia have highlighted concern regarding heat-related illness among rugby athletes due to prolonged exposure to hot environmental conditions. These findings emphasize the importance of monitoring the hydration status and fluid replacement practices among rugby players. This study will employ a quantitative observational pre-post exercise design. The research is a non-experimental in nature and aims to observe physiological changes occurring during regular training sessions. Data will be collected before and after exercise to evaluate sweat rate and hydration status. The target population consists of rugby players registered under MSN Pahang who will be competed in SUKMA 2026. A census sampling approach will be used, involving approximately 26 active players, which is 13 males and 13 female rugby players. This approach ensures that all eligible athletes within the selected population are included in the study. Participants must be active, playing for MSN Pahang, and medically fit and willing to participate voluntarily. Individuals with cardiovascular disorders, metabolic disease, recent illness, injuries, or factors affecting fluid balance will be excluded from the study. These criteria are established to ensure participant safety and improve data validity. In this research, several instruments will be used. The first one is calibrated digital waging scale that will measure body mass before and after exercise. The second one, a handheld refractometer, will assess urine specific gravity (USG) assessment. Fluid intake will be recorded using calibrated bottles, and data recording will be standardized from data collection forms for recording body mass, fluid intake, and urine values. Microsoft Excel and SPSS for data entry and statistical analysis will be used. All instruments calibrated prior to each data collection session. The study will begin with ethics approval and permission from MSN Pahang and coaches. Continue with screening based on inclusion and exclusion criteria, informed consent, participant briefing, USG assessment, pre-training body mass measurement, rugby training session, urine output measurement, post-training body mass measurement, sweat rate and hydration assessment, and SPSS data analysis. Finally, sweat rate and hydration status will be calculated and analyzed using SPSS. So this is the sweat rate calculation formula, which is Pre-training body mass will be minus with post-training body mass plus fluid intake and minus with urine output and will be divided into exercise duration. Descriptive statistic will summarize sweat rate and hydration status data. Pearson or Spearman correlation analysis will be used to determine the relationship between sweat rate and hydration status. The study expected to identify relatively high sweat rates among rugby players, significant fluid loss following exercise, and possible dehydration risk during training session. Differences may also be observed based on playing position and exercise intensity. So for the study timeline, we have four phases in study for the research study timeline. And for the conclusion, this study seeks to assess sweat rate and hydration status among MS and Pahang rugby players during exercise. The study will address an important research gap within Malaysian sports science and aims to provide evidence-based information that can improve hydration management, athlete safety, and improve performance. It is hoped that the findings will contribute to the development of sports-specific hydration guidelines for rugby players in Malaysia. So that's all from me. Thank you. That concludes my proposal's presentation. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Raizam and Dr. Norani, for your attention and consideration. Thank you.